So, if you are injured, should you avoid exercise? The short answer is probably. The longer answer is, I don't know, what sort of injury do you have? And of course, each injury is entirely unique and needs tending to a medical professional first. So none of this advice that's about to come today substitutes seeing your doctor or physio or medical professional. Now, here are some of the key things that you should consider if you are injured but would still like to exercise. And before I tell you what those general rules of thumbs are, then don't forget to like and subscribe this video and click on the link in the description to get your free Getting Started guide. I could be landing in your inbox in a couple of minutes. So, if you want to keep some element of fitness or strength going if you are working with an injury, then rule number 1 is don't move into pain. Pain is your body saying stop. So listen to that signal. Don't just finish the set or the run or keep doing it just because you love doing it. I want you to play the longer game and see the bigger picture. If you try and push through that pain, you'll likely damage yourself more and put yourself out of action for longer. Number 2 is avoiding pain in everyday activities where you can also, not just in exercise, modify where you can. Next thing to consider is it a shallow acute pain? So shallow near the surface, acute meaning like very strong in the moment and that eases fairly quickly. Is it feeling okay or better after a week or 2? If so, it's likely to be muscular and should be rested. If it's a deeper, duller pain that's longer lasting, it's possibly not muscles and it could be tendons or ligaments, so tread carefully. They do take longer to heal, more like 2 to 6 months, even longer sometimes because they have a poorer blood supply. So get an expert opinion. Is it strong and acute or is it deep and dull sensation? That could potentially tell you a little bit more about what is going on. Okay, the next big idea is, can you work around it? For example, I once had a client who injured her shoulder in a skiing accident and physio assessment wasn't an option. It was first lockdown at the time. So we actually experimented with some push variations that didn't hurt and we found keeping the elbows in to be quite a winning position for her. We did a ton of rotator cuff exercises as well, accompanied with some stretching, and happenstance it worked. The plan was still to see a physio when she could, but the point is she kept going with what she could do. After 6 months, the shoulder pain had healed, it had gone, and she'd achieved her first full push-up. Another example is if the injury is just on one side of the body, it's very useful to keep training the non-injured side. Don't think just because you can't do your normal workout, it's not worth doing. So if you've hurt your arm or your leg, can you work the other okay arm or leg? It works because you're continuing to train your nervous system, and some of the gains that you make do transfer to the side of your body that you're not working. And I think we think that, oh, we're injured, I should rest, stop entirely, all or nothing. But think about it, if the injury is in your upper body, do you still have a pair of legs? Train those. Is it in your legs? Do you still have arms? Well, train those. Get creative. More often than not, there's still things that we can do, even if it's not our most preferred method of exercise. And finally, heat and cold probably do both help. If it's an acute injury, which means short-term painful, then alternating icing and heating might help, as well as potentially taking short-term pain relief or anti-inflammatory medicine, along with rest and raising of the injury. None of these are long-term solutions, so if they don't work after 2 to 3 days, don't necessarily keep dosing up on pain relief. Go get checked out. Remember, the price of being an active person is probably injury at some point. The price of being a non-active person is definitely injury at some point. You didn't necessarily do anything wrong to get injured, or maybe jumping off that bench into the paddling pool wasn't, in fact, the best idea. Remember also, even though they feel like it at the time, most injuries do not last forever. I have worked with frozen shoulders, hip impingements, shoulder pain, torn quads, hamstrings, calves, pelvis pain, knee pain, and in my experience with those clients, they usually do not last forever. Keep seeking help, get advice, follow that advice consistently, and trust that your body will heal. It's pretty good at the recovery malarkey when we give it a chance. So I'd love to know, what has been your biggest injury frustration? And what is the worst injury you've had that you've been able to come back from? Let me know in the comments below.